Say, hey, I know you've been lying to me, and this is how I know. Don't take it personal, and don't talk to people like they're garbage. If they scream, let them scream. You sit in your chair, you stay calm and collected, you remain professional. Sometimes going back to what I used to do in the interview room, I would have people, they did not want to talk to me. They hated me simply. And people would be rude to me, scream at me, yell at me, call me names. What do? What? Somebody yells at you, and somebody confronts you, and embrace it. Look at it like, all right, what's up? Let's go. But at the same time, you should be able to confront people about things that you don't feel right about in your life. Don't sit there and swallow it. If somebody rapes someone, I wouldn't say, did you rape her? Rape is an ugly word. Who wants to be a rapist? Guess how I respond back? I look at their email. If they write hi, I write hi. If they write hello, I write hello.
In your business, I assume that you get confronted a lot. I've heard you talk about confrontation. Most people battle it and try to fight it off, but you say welcome it. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yes. So I have a lot of folks who come up to me, what do I do? This person's confronting me, I'm nervous, and I don't like to fight, and some people don't like confrontation. But what happens is when we go out of our way to avoid confrontation, it ends up hurting us in the end. We end up stifling our voices, we end up suffering, we end up dealing with people and things and situations where we don't speak, and it's so much worse for us, not just mentally, physically, health-wise, it just demolishes you. And so embracing confrontation is a mindset that I took on, that it's like you can disagree with someone, and it doesn't have to be a full brawl.
Right.
You can articulate to somebody, say, I hear you, I disagree with you with this, and this is why. Here's my perception of that. So there's a way to disagree with someone. And if they escalate, let them escalate. If they scream, let them scream. You sit in your chair, you stay calm and collected, you remain professional, you let them become the fool. You don't have to mimic that. Sometimes going back to what I used to do in the interview room, I would have people, they did not want to talk to me. They hated me simply because of what I represented. I represented law enforcement. And so from that moment, I'd walk into a room and people would be rude to me, scream at me, yell at me, call me names. What do? Do I reciprocate? Or do I sit back and I wait? I let them vent. And you know what? 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, they're done. They're tired. They got out of their system. And now we can have a conversation.
I love that so much.
Don't be afraid of it. So what? Somebody yells at you, and somebody confronts you, and embrace it. Look at it like, all right, what's up? Let's go. And I have to give my husband kudos for this, because anytime the situation and there's something, I'm like, hey, this could get confrontational. He's like, yeah. He's like, I love it. Because he looks at it almost like a puzzle, like a master. He's like, how are we going to move this person? How are we going to maneuver them from here to here? And look at it as a challenge. Don't look at it as a negative thing. And you're going to have people confront you, but at the same time, you should be able to confront people about things that you don't feel right about in your life. Don't sit there and swallow it.
Also, yeah, let's talk about that. How do you do that? Because typically when people go to confront other people, it's like, all right, there's going to be a battle here. They're going to get their walls up. But I've heard you talk so eloquently about the words you use and how you are able to confront people without it feeling like you're being combative. What are the tricks there? Because I love this.
Well, don't take it personal, and don't talk to people like they're garbage. Don't sit there and yell at people. If you yell at people and talk to them like garbage, you're going to get garbage. And so if I want information, if I'm trying to get something from you, or I want to be able to understand what you're thinking, I'm going to speak to you in a way that you understand. But I will approach you one at a time when I am not angry, because there are moments where I'm like, I can't speak to this person. I will not speak to this person. I need to calm down. I need to think clearly. And when I get in the right mindset, then I'll figure out how to speak to you. So let's say you're dealing with somebody who's being dishonest, and they've been lying to you. Well, one thing to think about is when you approach them, you don't want to say, hey, I know you've been lying to me, and this is how I know. Think of it this way. Who likes to be called a liar?
No one.
No one likes to be called a liar. So what you can say is like, hey, Lisa, look, I feel that there's some, you're not being truthful with me about everything. There's some things that you're holding back, and I really want this relationship to work. So I'm hoping we can have an honest conversation and open, dialogue, and just really kind of get to the bottom of what's going on. It'd really, really be important to me. So I can be as pissed at you as much as I want, but I would do that. I actually did this with an ex-boyfriend, and I suspected that he was being dishonest. He was either talking to his ex-girlfriend or whatever. This was many years ago. Do you think I was livid? I was furious, but I needed to know what was going on. I was like, I need to know. I can't spend time with this person. And so I put on my non-confrontational, I'm going to talk to you nicely hat, and I put on my interviewer hat, and I said, and I just began talking to him nicely, oh, tell me about your last relationship. Wow, it sounds like it was really important to you. What was it like? That must have been hard to break up. Do you really think I want to hear about her? No, I did not. But I sat there and I remember being on the phone with him, listening to this conversation, and then eventually his walls go down. He forgets who he's talking to. He starts telling me more and more. And as he's talking to me, I realize, oh my God, he's still talking to her.
Wow.
Yes. And so at that point, I got what I wanted. I needed knowledge to figure out, do I stay or do I go? And so because I was able to get that information, I was able to go and leave that relationship and avoid future pain. So there's 3 things you should think about when you communicate with people: body language, verbal language, paralinguistics. Body language is how you're seated. So right now, I like you, you like me, and one of the indicators is the way our legs are crossed. They're actually crossed toward each other. If we didn't like each other, we'd be maybe sitting something like this. I'd be a little bit more that way, so I use my body as a barrier. Or even leaning in. When you like somebody, you lean in. And so this creates like, hey, I like you, let's talk. So people are more engaged. Now, verbal language is kind of what we touched on before. Not calling somebody a liar, watching the things you say to them. Even when I would work cases where somebody would steal money, I would never say to them, did you steal that money? Did you take that money? If somebody raped someone, I wouldn't say, did you rape her? Rape is an ugly word. Who wants to be a rapist? Did you hurt her? Right? So I would be mindful of the words that I used. And so that is the verbal language that we assessed. Paralinguistics is how you say the things you say. And so, again, based on your audience, if you have somebody who's a man who's really strong, who's a boss, you might want to deepen your voice, bring up a little bit more strength, and when you talk, project. If you're dealing with like a young girl, you want to bring it down, soften it, match that person, mirror her language. And something as simple as, look at the words people use, like they like, oh, that's great, that's great. You know what I'm going to say? That's great, that's great. I even use it when I do emails. When I receive somebody's email and I look at how they introduce themselves. Hi, Evy, dear Evy, hello, Evy. Guess how I respond back? I look at their email. If they write hi, I write hi. If they write hello, I write hello. If they write dear, I write dear.
And that's to meet them where they are? What is that purpose?
To create something in common. I get you get me. Subconsciously, it makes them feel like, oh, I like her. She used dear, I use dear. They don't know that I'm doing that. Even when I close the email. Sincerely, I'll put sincerely. People like people who they have things in common with. But don't pretend to be something you're not. So just bring the version of you that would resonate best with them.
So you're saying I'm not faking it, I'm just bringing out a part of me that
works with that person better.